Hey folks, Doug Blake with Body Design University. I'm here to help you to pass the ACE exam on the first attempt or whichever attempt you are on. And specifically in this video, I'm going to be in chapter 8, looking at one of the tables. And the table itself, you can really memorize it. And that's what I wanted to kind of show you because I was asked by a student who was working specifically in this, kind of got to that table and said, is there a easier way to memorize it? So I'm going to kind of help you work through this and killing two birds with one stone. One is just the general concept of, again, how do you memorize information in a table, and the fact that you've got hundreds of tables in the textbook. How am I going to do this and retain it all? Okay, so that's number one. Again, pretty simple, straightforward tip, and I'll do it with you. And then the second is this concept, which is this idea of hydration before, during, and after exercise. And let me pull up our digital textbook so you can see what I'm talking about. It's table 8.3. And the idea here is that, and let me just, I think I can show you, it's page 272, chapter 8, cardiorespiratory training. So yeah, table 8.3 is a pretty important table. And what I want to do is just kind of show you. Let me go ahead and pull this up. Table 8.3. I wanted to show this to you because, quite often I'm asked, is there relevant information in the textbook, for the real world, for myself training and for others? And the answer to that is yes, absolutely. This is a classic example where, particularly, by the way, athletic training, fluid replacement and recommendations, the use of electrolytes, the use of carbohydrate gels, all of these things are actually really, really important when it comes to performance. Now, for the average client, okay, yeah, for the most part, we're not going to get as precise and dig into it this deep. I'm basically want my clients to drink more water than they're normally accustomed to drinking. But particularly in table 8.3, it gives you some specifics. And this is what I wanted to help you with. First and foremost, I'm gonna come out of this and go back into it as I went through this with you. Okay, so you see the table 8.3. The general recommendation and the tip is to front load the amount of work and effort, front load it from a studying perspective. And what I'm simply saying is that when you're at the point where you're in the chapter that you're studying and you hit these tables or hit these graphs, charts, whatever it is that you're at, put the effort up front, meaning don't read it and move on and then come back to it. No. Every time you hit relevant information like a table, as you're seeing here, stop and grab your pen, markers, color, do whatever you want to use. Again, I keep giving you these asides. Use color markers. It actually helps. Okay. Rewrite the table. So literally, when you're doing it, table 8.3, and I literally write table 8.3. This is going to take me maybe 5 to 10 minutes to rewrite the table. But by doing this, by front loading the amount of work that I spend, I will get significant memorization retention up front by doing it this way. By simply reading and looking at a table and kind of going, well, that's interesting. I hope I remember that. It's a waste of time. You didn't memorize anything. Reading by itself has a very low memorization retention rate, 10%, maybe even less for some people, maybe a little higher for others. The point is that simply reading it is not the way to do it. Give yourself that upfront work, heavy lifting up front. Go and rewrite the table. Now, again, you can see me, I hope, up here in the corner. I'll make this larger so you can actually see me doing this. I've got blank paper, by the way, just so you know. You can use lined paper, but I'm using blank paper because I'll be drawing things like that. So it's going to be 3 rows before, during, and after. I'm not going to rewrite the entire, this is the tip. So when you get to a table like this, do yourself a favor. Just make it sort of like bullet points. So before, fluid, and then comments, right? So before, during, And then after, drink 5 to 7 milliliters per kilogram, at least 4 hours. Don't write drink 5, just write 5 to 7. Because remember, on an actual test question, they're going to do it like this. They're not going to give you ounces. Generally, they're not going to give you ounces. I'm just telling you, they're going to go metric. Generally, they're going to go metric. But again, you don't have to write 5 to 7 milliliters per kilogram unless you want to. They have ounces per pound in parentheses. If they give you a question and it's only one, they're only going to give you metric, or they'll give you both. So it doesn't matter. That's why I don't bother writing milliliters per, kilogram and, ounces per pound. I just write 5 to 7 because it's the number that I need to memorize. 5 to 7, 4 hours. Okay. 12 to 17 ounces, 450. Okay. So you don't need this. So when I rewrite it, I don't use this, I don't use this, and I don't use this. See how I made it easy? And by the way, I already know it's before. Look what I just did. 5 to 7, 4 hours. That's all I did. That's how I'm going to memorize. That's how it makes it so easy to memorize. And when I say read it and rewrite it, be smart about it. Before exercise, 5 to 7, 4 hours. 5 to 7. Okay, so 5 to 7, whatever, 5 to 7 ounces, or whatever the case is. You get the idea? That's how I'm going to memorize this. During exercise, monitor individual body weight changes during exercise to estimate weight loss. Composition of fluid should include 20 to 30 MQL sodium, 2 to 5 of potassium, and 5 to 10% of carbohydrate. Now, you get the idea. I've got to memorize some basic numbers. 20 to 30 sodium, Na. 2 to 5 potassium. By the way, that's K. You guys know that, right? 5 to 10% carbs. 5, 10% carbs. Why? Because on a question, if they ask you a question related to this, they're already going to give you, this. They're going to tell you Miller, potassium, Miller, blah, 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 5 to 10% carbohydrate. Get it? Composition of fluid. Monitor individual weight loss changes during exercise. 20 to 30 sodium, 2 to 5 potassium, 5 to 10% carbs. Get that? That's how I'm memorizing this chart. After exercise, consumption of normal meals and beverages will restore euhydration. Remember what euhydration was, right? That's the balanced, right? Your amount of fluid loss equals the amount of fluid you're taking in. That's called euhydration. If rapid recovery is needed, okay, now you can do 1.5, if needed, 1.5 liters per kilogram of body weight loss. 1.5 weight lost. And I've got that column. Comments: urine is not produced or very dark, drink another 3 to 5. So basically that's low output. Low output. Very dark means that your concentration is very high of uric acid, and so urea. So the urine is low output. 3 to 5, 2 hours. 2 hours. Okay, those are your comments. If low output, 3 to 5, and again, I'm rewriting this in a way where I'm memorizing the numbers because that's what I'm going to see on an exam question. Okay, you don't have to memorize milliliters per kilogram. You don't have to memorize those because those will be given to you already on an exam question. You need to know the numbers because you'll see 3 to 5 milliliters per kilogram 2 hours before, 4 to 7 milliliters per kilogram 6 hours, whatever the number is, that's going to be helpful to do that. On that one, sodium containing beverage salted snacks will help retain fluid. Okay, you could put like a check mark, Na containing fluids. Okay. During exercise, prevent a 2%. There's your number, by the way. That is an important number. Prevent a greater than 2% loss in body weight. Why? Because all the studies that have been done, particularly on athletes, shows that if you lose greater than 2% of your body weight due to exercise induced fluid loss, it could be very, very dangerous. And so you've got to prevent that. And obviously you're monitoring. That's what this part over here was telling you. If you can monitor it, then for sure do it. Let me get rid of this and this. So prevent a 2% loss in body weight, prevent greater than 2%. That's the number I got to memorize. In body weight, amount and rate of fluid replacement depends on individual sweating, blah, blah, blah. That's obvious. Third one right here. Goal is to fully replace fluid and electrolyte deficits, right? Fully replace fluid. Consuming sodium will help recovery by stimulating thirst and fluid retention. You could write that. So basically, I redid that chart just like that. You don't have to read the numbers, but you get the idea. Now, what do I do? Same thing. Rewrite it. Now that I do that, now I can rewrite this, and I rewrite the chart. I know it's a lot of work. I mean, I got to do this with every table. Yeah, believe it or not, it's ultimately less time to do it, because once I do this, and I'll just give you a challenge. I'll give you a challenge right now. Just do it wherever you're at, whatever table you're at, do it with a table. And here's what I'm going to tell you to do. It's a challenge. Rewrite it. I don't know. I mean, with this, for me, I pretty much already got it memorized. But do it a second time, rewrite it. Do it a third time, fourth time, maybe even a fifth time, one right after the other. Okay. And if you do that before, during, and after, what were my numbers? 5 to 7, 4 hours, 20 to 30 sodium, 2 to 5 potassium, 5 to 10 carbs, 1.5 weight loss. Remember how I wrote this? Remember where I was grabbing it from? Weight lost, right? 3.5 m, 2 hours. Sodium containing fluids. What's the number for that middle one? No greater than 2% loss in body weight, fully replace. Did it? Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Guess what's going to happen? After about 3 or 4 times, I'm challenging you to do this, and then tell me how you do on it. Those are the ones I wrote. Boom. Let's see if I got it right. Come down here. Boom, boom. I already know this. I know this. 2 to 5, 4 hours. Excuse me, 3 to 5, 4 hours. Get it? Greater than 2% over here. 1.5 down. See what I can do. Once I do it 3, 4, 5 times, you'll literally be able to fill that chart in. And once you fill that chart in, I'm just going to tell you, you do it a couple of times. You do that a couple of times, and what's going to end up happening is you will not be able to not remember those numbers. That's one table from one chapter. Not every table, not every chapter is critical to do this with. I'm pretty sure for the most part, as I've spoken to students over and over now, you will see probably maybe one question, maybe a couple of questions related to this particular table or this particular area. You may not see any. Look, the point is that in order to memorize, and that's why I'm doing this, because again, a student asked me, and it's like, how do you do it? That's how you do it. Okay, so let's rehash this. You got a table. and they've written a paragraph or they've got no, don't worry about that so much. If it's a table that is important to memorize and understand, then write it out yourself and then compress that information into just the numbers or just a particular word or particular concept that makes sense that they would put on the exam. Okay. If it has the different variable names, things like that, you don't have to memorize that because they're going to probably give you that on the exam anyway. In the answers, you're going to need to know the numbers: 3 to 5, greater than 2%, 1.5 times this, whatever the scenario is. So literally rewrite the chart. Okay. Yes, it takes a little bit of time to do that, but that front end loading of work actually helps with your memorization. Don't do it once because you're not going to memorize it doing it once. Do it once, do it again, do it again, do it again until you get to the point where you can do it without even looking at it. And once you do it, right, and you can do it, then do it a couple more times. It doesn't take that long with some of these charts. Again, you got to get over this. You got to get over this idea that you're spending more time. You're wasting time. No. Read, write, recite. It's that writing component that jumps the retention of the material memorization wise significantly, 2.5 to 3 times, in fact. Just reading something versus reading it and rewriting it. What I have found for me, by the way, is using colors. If I use colors, is the visual acuity component of it can also bolster memorization because it's engaging, it's visually engaging, and so that should help for some folks, help with memorization and understanding, or at least understanding how to memorize the material. Look, table 8.3 may not seem like a big deal. But it is because it's one of many, many tables that's probably a good idea to memorize. And by the way, that table in particular, there's not a whole lot. Now, think about the amount of time that we've just gone through this video. I don't have my timer on me, but could you, after watching the video, don't look at your textbook, right? And don't rewind this, but just think about what we just did. You think you can actually redo table 8.3? What was table 8.3? Fluid replacement, the criteria before, during, and after exercise, right? So it had the recommendation and comments. Can you remember what they were? If you could, congratulations. Solidify it in your gray matter by writing it down again. If you want to do this on the other chapters, of course, look, we're here to help you to pass the ACE exam. Now, I always say pass it on the first attempt because I know there's lots of folks out there that are looking at this going, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Some of you have already taken it and you failed. Okay, it happens. And you're thinking to yourself, man, that was a pretty rough test. How am I going to pass it this time? Well, that's what we're here to help with. If you've taken it once, you failed. Second time you failed, you need to rethink your studying tactics. That's one of the reasons why we do this. You need to rethink how you're studying because it ain't working on the memorization component of it. There's also the other part of this, which is the test taking aspect of it. But if you have questions about that, that's what we're here to do, is to help you with any aspect or component of taking the ACE exam. Just let us know by leaving questions in the comment section below. Leave comments. If it didn't work for you or you needed more elaboration on what I was doing, let me know. Again, leave the comments. By the way, when you ask questions, when folks ask us questions, we know there's thousands of other people out there that probably have similar questions. So you're not just helping yourself, you're helping other folks. Remember to subscribe to our channel, share it if you wish, and also hit the notification bell so you know when new material is coming out. As always, it's a pleasure to help you with the ACE materials and getting ready to pass their exam. Have a great weekend, by the way, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.